All right, why did Portland, Oregon just get ranked the coolest city in North America? We're going to talk about it in this video. Stay tuned to learn more. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Paul Clem with the Home Team Brokers coming to you from Portland, Oregon. And in this video, we're going to talk about a recent study that just ranked Portland, Oregon the coolest city in North America, not just in the US, but all of North America. So what constitutes cool, is really going to be very subjective. Cool means something different to everybody. There's certainly, a more popular definition of cool. There's more obscure definitions of cool. Portland definitely leans more on the side of obscurity, and that's probably not a huge surprise. Portland has this tagline, which we stole from Austin, Texas, "Keep Portland Weird." And I think there's a stereotype, or many stereotypes about Portland that people would define it as quirky, weird, definitely a little bit counterculture, alternative, and most notably hipster. So, hipster culture is definitely something that's associated with Portland, Oregon, and something that I think nationwide or worldwide, whatever it is, has become more and more mainstream culture. So we're talking about thrift stores, we're talking about indie music, we're talking about certain types of diets, and a lot of other criteria that we'll talk about. Now, if this is your first time to the channel, or you've been here and you haven't already and you want to get more videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. All right, so if you are thinking about moving to Portland, Oregon, you probably have some idea, again, of some of the stereotypes about Portland that I alluded to. You're probably wondering, what is it really like to live here? What is the culture like? Well, of course, this is a big city. We're about 25th in the nation in terms of major metro areas, size, and population. So there's going to be a huge range and a ton of diversity. But like a lot of other cities around the country, there's going to be some stereotypes that hold true to some degree, one way or another. And for Portland, again, it's all about hipster culture. So this article that I'm referencing in this video that just came out ranks Portland the coolest city in the country based on 4 primary categories. And those categories are microbreweries, record stores, vegan restaurants, and thrift stores. So the question is that something that you think is cool? Is that something that everybody thinks is cool? I mean, again, those are really kind of the 4 pillars, or 4 primary pillars of, again, hipster culture, which I think has become more and more mainstream. You're not going to get that everywhere in Portland, for sure. But Portland proper, especially, in the city, a lot in Southeast, Northeast, North Portland, a little bit in Southwest Portland, a little bit in Northwest Portland. The west side has a little bit of a different vibe than the east side. And there's a lot of nuance there, but it wouldn't take spending too much time in Portland to pick up on that. I think a lot of the true Portland culture, the true Portland vibe, is going to be primarily on the east side of the river. If you live in Portland or you've been here and you have a different opinion, leave a comment below, let me know. But when we're looking at microbreweries, Portland has the most out of any city in North America, and that's not per capita. More microbreweries than any city in North America, not just in the country. So that's enormous. And I would say microbreweries is not just a hipster thing. That's definitely a Portland and Oregon thing, really a Pacific Northwest thing. That's a huge part of the culture here. Really has mass appeal too. So, somebody who fits more of a quote unquote, hipster stereotype, young people, old people, everybody in between. Everybody goes to these brew pubs. Most of these microbreweries, a lot of the larger ones have brew pubs with restaurants where people like to spend a lot of time. So that's definitely something that a lot of people do. Now, with record stores, Portland also has the most, again, not just per capita. So that's an incredible statistic. When you look at the size of Portland, that really tells you something about the culture here. Vinyl has become more and more popular. That's part of what I'm getting at, where a lot of this hipster culture has become more mainstream, where at first it was kind of obscure and it was cool to do something a little bit different, but we certainly live up to it. Again, Portland has more record stores than any city in the country. Now, vegan restaurants, we're looking at 3rd overall, and almost certainly the most per capita for vegan restaurants. So that is an enormous part of the food culture. Portland is a big foodie city, so definitely offers a wide range of offerings for people with all kind of diets, specialty diets, whatever it may be. But, you know, a lot of people are vegan for different reasons. Either way, there's no shortage of vegan restaurants here in Portland. And then the fourth category is thrift stores, and we're kind of in the middle of the pack there. But I think that does fall in line a little bit with just, you know, not falling into the mainstream, doing things that are a little more alternative to be cool, you know, going to thrift stores, going to get, you know, cool old vintage clothes. So it's part of the style. I think it's part of it is a little bit of maybe like an anti-capitalism thing, which, you know, certainly is part of at least like the stereotype of the Portland ethos a little bit. So, you know, if you look at those four primary categories, which is what this list was ranking, again, we're ranking first in North America as the coolest city. The question is, are those things that are important to you, if you're moving to Portland, you know, are those things that are going to resonate with you? If they don't at all, you know, are you worried maybe you're not going to fit in? Well, I wouldn't worry about that too much. Again, I think there's really a pretty small footprint of Portland itself that really kind of lives up to the stereotypes, you know, all the things that we've talked about, you know, stereotype maybe for lack of a better term. But when you get out to the suburbs, which a lot of people move into Portland for work, for family, you know, whatever it may be, you know, they're not necessarily targeting living in the city. And you get out into the suburbs really pretty quickly. If you go 4, 5, 6 miles in any direction, you're not really in Portland anymore. I mean, Portland overall, pretty small, condensed place, so you can live in a lot of suburbs and get into the city pretty easily. But if you're living in a Beaverton, a Lake Oswego, you know, if you're living in Gresham, if you're living in Hillsborough, Tualatin, Sherwood, Wilsonville, Tigard, any number of these suburbs that are pretty sought after and pretty popular places to live by many measures, you know, good places to live, it's going to be kind of night and day culture-wise compared to Portland. Now, again, you know, this is more on a spectrum. It's hard to talk about these things in like completely, you know, black and white terms, but this particular, you know, study or article that I'm referencing is using data to nail these things down. So is Portland the coolest city in the country? I think if you asked most people, even if you showed them this list of criteria that we're using, most people would probably say no, you know, and I think there's others, maybe not, maybe somewhere top 5, top 10, depending on what people like. Cities like New York and LA and Austin, Nashville, you know, those all ranked really high too. Those also all kind of have their hipster contingent as well. So, you know, Portland isn't just a microcosm of these things. I mean, in a lot of ways, Portland is kind of the birthplace for a lot of these things. Seattle too, you know, we've got to put that in there. It's kind of a Pacific Northwest thing as far as the culture goes. But again, it really just comes down to what people's priorities are overall. And I think the biggest point that I would underline is that if you're moving to Portland, and again, these things don't necessarily resonate with you, it's not like you have to completely change your interest or your lifestyle to fit in. Okay, so I was looking into this a little bit more to kind of verify and hone in on some talking points, you know, talking about, again, these categories, the criteria that they're using to rank Portland as the coolest city in the country. And I came across something else that came out recently ranking Portland the best place to party in the country. And it was using criteria to, you know, break it down to numbers, to put it on a table to show what cities in the country were the best places to party. Now, not too long ago, I was in my 20s. You know, I can speak to this. I think it's been a while, but I mean, I don't think anybody would ever say that Portland is the best place, top 10, top 20, you know, top 30 places to party in the country. So the criteria they used was, you know, quantity of bars, wineries, you know, brew pubs, things like that, prices, proximity and access, transportation, you know, things like that. So, you know, how long does it take to go places? Is it going to cost you a lot of money? Which, you know, makes sense when you break it down to those numbers. But I think more of like experientially, I think if people come to Portland to party, and then they put that up against, of course, a Vegas, you know, New York, Austin, Nashville, some of the places around the country that people go to, you know, these like bachelor and bachelorette party destinations around the country. Portland, I mean, for sure is not one of them. And this was super surprising to me. And, you know, this kind of shows you that when you see stuff like this, when you're researching places to move to, some of these things can be a little bit misleading. Now, you know, my opinion is just my opinion. You know, I like to think I got out enough, you know, to gauge this particular topic with some confidence. You know, I'm not the foremost authority on nightlife in Portland by any means. And I should mention too that, you know, anything related to nightlife, going out, getting a drink, whatever, I mean, really should be focused on Portland as a whole. When you get out to the suburbs, I mean, you're talking dive bars and, you know, some pool halls, and again, a lot of brew pubs and things like that, but not a lot of places that are staying open after midnight out in the suburbs for sure. So now you might not be looking for a place that has a really great nightlife, so maybe this doesn't matter necessarily, but, you know, as far as a national reputation, as far as what people are coming here for, and things that you might be able to get out and do from time to time, I would not really count on Portland being a great place to party. Now, you know, there's a lot of events, community events down on the waterfront, especially in the summer. You know, a lot of brew fests, a lot of little smaller brew festivals, things like that. You know, there's a lot of cool things that go on throughout the year, things to do. But again, party town, I'm not so sure about that. Now, if you ask me, and, you know, people I've known that have, you know, been born and raised here, grown up here, and people that are moving here, the things that make Portland cool, the things that are drawing people here or contributing to people staying here, are a lot of the other things that you hear about outside of maybe kind of just this one particular culture around thrift stores and microbrews and indie music record stores, things like that. I mean, it's going to be the outdoors. It's going to be getting all 4 seasons, the weather being really mild. It's going to be being a relatively laid back, quiet place to live. It's going to be, you know, a place, again, that's not incredibly bustling, where you don't have to show off and be incredibly flashy. You know, again, really laid back culture overall in Portland and in the suburbs. I mean, I do think the microbrews, or the craft brew pubs, you know, the breweries and the wine, I mean, if that's something that you partake in, is definitely something that is at the very least added benefit for a lot of people, just because the experience overall of doing that, there's such a variety. A lot of brew pubs, a lot of wineries and tasting rooms, things like that offer a really cool, unique experience. But again, the outdoors, the walking trails, the trees, the scenery, the aesthetic, you know, that's going to be among the top reasons why, you know, people are drawn here. So point being is, if you are thinking about moving to the Portland metro area, there's a lot of things about Portland that you're going to hear about, read about, and really frankly see once you're here, but don't feel like you have to come here and change to fit in. I think that's another thing a lot of people like about Portland, is you can really come here and be yourself. That's, you know, another great benefit of living in this part of the country. And if you are thinking about moving here, if you want to talk more about culture, lifestyle, but also neighborhoods, maybe your budget, your timeline, you know, what you can get and where, talk about some of your priorities, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, click the link down below in the description of the video, schedule a Zoom call with us, and we can dig into those things a little bit further and really put together a game plan for you. If this video is helpful, make sure to hit the like button. That helps us out a lot. If you want to get more videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. As always, we really appreciate you watching. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.